How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome into 14P Fantasy. We are finally live. Took us a minute. Had all kinds of delays and
Justin.
No, do not. None of this is me. But anyways, guys, if you're here, obviously check out the Patreon page. We have rookie rankings over there, tiered rookie rankings, dynasty rankings. If Marco ever gets them done, will be up on there as well.
Done. I just forgot to send them to you again.
That's okay. So again, if Marco does that, we can have those on there. You get live or early access to all of the rookie videos, all that kind of stuff. So go and check that out. But today, and more importantly, we are mock drafting. It is mock draft time. We are going to run through a Superflex mock here. 12 teams, Dynasty. We have 2 open spots. So if there's anybody out there that is looking to get in on this still, we have 2 spots left for you. So we'll give it a minute or 2. But Marco, it's good to have you back on a live stream. It's been a while.
It's been a while. You know, my daughter is now 6, almost 7 weeks old, and there's a good chance you guys might see me have to feed her during this stream. But
breastfeed,
yeah, I'm nursing, yeah.
One sec before you go, Baby Dragon. That link is at the top of the YouTube comments. If you click that link, you'll be able to join there and fill one of these last 2 spots. But Marco, how's fatherhood as we wait for these last 2 spots to get filled?
It's good. It's very good. So this week, I don't go back till next Wednesday to my full-time job, and my wife went back this week. So I'm single dad during the day, which has been fun. Jane's been doing well. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. She's in her car seat right now because we just got back from an errand trip. But so she's adorable. She looks like her mom, thank God. And everything's going well.
All right. Well, that is good to hear. And since you have told us that, we are ready to go. Marco is picking from the 101. I am picking from the 110.
Love it.
And everybody else is picking somewhere in between. All right. Super flex draft, guys. Marco, you are on the clock. What are you doing here? What's your immediate thought?
So I'll say this. I hate the 101. I usually like 108 to 112. But Justin took 110, so I want to go right next to Justin. So I went to the other side, a spot I don't usually draft in. And really, there's only 3 people I'm really considering at the 101. It's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jonathan Taylor. I like to typically wait a little bit on quarterbacks, but if you're at the 101, I don't think you need to get cute. Quarterback is probably the safest option, and it's going to be the option that probably gets you the most points. So I'm going to go with my favorite quarterback in Superflex right now, and I'm going to take Josh Allen.
He's been the QB1 back-to-back years.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people keep saying just by default, oh, it's Mahomes, it's Mahomes. It isn't. It really isn't Mahomes at this point. They say, oh, Mahomes has the safer floor. He doesn't. It's Josh Allen. It really is.
But, if somebody took Mahomes, I'm not going to bat an eye. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
No, I agree. But to me, I don't think that Mahomes is the true number 1 overall quarterback. I think it is Josh Allen. So
I think it's a tier of him, Mahomes, and Kyler Murray personally. But
yeah, that's fair. I think Kyler's kind of injury issues make me not want to consider him at the 101. He always has weird shoulder stuff going on, and I don't want to go 101 with him typically with that.
That's fair. And we got Strong Style Ninja on YouTube here saying he thinks it should have been JT. I think a lot of people, especially after this season, I mean, how can you not be? The man has been RB6 and RB1 in his career.
Right.
He's an absolute freak. And even you see it there. He goes 102, and then Najee actually goes 1-3.
That's surprising to me, and I don't know if there's a person alive that likes Najee Harris more than I do. So
I can't take Najee personally that high. With the quarterbacks there, the age, there's a whole lot going on with it, but
I think 4.5 is the highest I'll take Najee. 104, 105 in a super flex restart or
even that. He's not even my dynasty RB2. So
yeah, he's my dynasty RB2. But I know you got Swift, right?
Yeah, that's 2 for me pretty easily.
Yeah.
We got Baby Dragon. Maybe should have went Mahomes, but I'm fine with JT. I mean,
I would be fine with JT.
The sleeper ADP is JT at 1. Like that is their default number 1 pick. So
Right.
I don't think taking Taylor over Mahomes or whoever else is crazy. But
I think people will see that more and more as we get into actual mock draft seasons, you know?
And then we have Hovis. If you guys watched our last mock draft, Hovis was the guy that was on with me, my lifelong college roommate, great friend. Took Joe Burrow at 5, repping his Cincy blood. I can't take Burrow that high. I cannot do that.
I love the pick. I don't think I would take Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert.
Or Kyler.
But it's really close. It honestly is close because of what Burrow did this year, and obviously the continued evolution of Chase and T. Higgins, and just what that offense is doing. So I think it's a surprising pick, but as we get closer and closer to the start of next season, I wouldn't be surprised if he's picked fairly early.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to I think where Herbert's going now. But again, I still got Kyler pretty comfortably over both of those two. And JB Cho bringing up a very good point. Sleeper rankings are meh at best.
At best, right? Yes.
It's the beginning of the offseason here, so their rankings are going to change a ton. Like, you can find a ton of crazy value strictly because of sleeper rankings. So keep that stuff in mind.
Wow.
Right.
109, Jamar Chase. What are your thoughts on that, Justin?
I was getting ready to take him at 110, so I don't love it. Like, that's a pain in the ass, but he has every right to be the second or even the first wide receiver off the board. For me, there is a monumental gap at quarterback after this pick, so I am taking Lamar Jackson. I think that first tier of QB, first 2 tiers, is really these 6 or 7 guys, and then after that, there is not a ton that I am absolutely in love with as far as like young, guaranteed quarterback production goes.
100%.
So I will take Lamar. I'll take Lamar Jackson there. I'm big on drafting in tiers. Like I would prefer to have a few other guys over Lamar, but the drop from Lamar to the next QB to me is worth reaching a little bit there.
No, I 100% agree with you. Kyle Pitts going at the 111. What are your thoughts on that? That's an interesting pick. Because this draft is not tight end premium.
Right. So before we get to that, Baby Dragon saying I'd prefer Chase over Jefferson. I don't blame him, to be honest.
I agree,
I get it.
actually.
They're neck and neck. But as far as Pitts goes, I don't think I'm taking Pitts that high in a super flex non-tight end premium draft. He feels more of a mid-second rounder. There's a lot of guys, specifically at the running back position and the wide receiver position, I like a whole lot more than him.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, it is a dynasty startup, so I understand the inherent value a guy like Pitts has. I would be fine taking him in the early second, but late first is a little bit early. It's not insane, but it is a little early for me. And quickly to go back to the Chase Jefferson, I agree they're kind of neck and neck, but to me it's Chase. Like, people are wondering, like, oh, who's better? I wish we could see them on the same team with the same quarterback and the same offense. Oh yeah, we did, and it was Chase was better.
We literally saw this.
Yes, so it's not like, oh, I wonder. It's like, we know Chase is better.
Yeah, and I think we're about to get our first auto pick here. Sleeper doesn't just. I hope to God Sleeper does not just default to the top 2.
It's going to, which is going to break your heart.
It's going to be so stupid.
Just so you guys know, if I'm leaning off screen, it's because I have to probably pick up my daughter any second. So just be aware, I'm coming back if I go off screen for a second.
Just, Margo, I should take precedent. This mock draft should take precedent over your 6-week-old child.
6.5 weeks. She should know better by now.
It doesn't just put him on auto draft. What is happening here? So we're going to just have to wait. Christian McCaffrey, Marco, going at 112.
It's interesting, like
still the RB3 off the board.
What?
Still the RB3 off the board.
He's still the RB3 off the board, and I don't actually have him. I don't have him as a top 3 running back in Dynasty at this point. My top 3 in order are JT, Najee, and Swift. So
JT, Najee. So you have Najee over Swift. Interesting.
I do. I just slightly. They're in the same category for me. But or the same tier for me. But I have JT, Najee, Swift, and then I actually have McCaffrey as my RB5 in Dynasty.
I'm just laughing that this is the point where we are. We're doing a mock draft in the middle of the workday, and you're feeding your child.
I'm literally about to pick her up, so I'm gonna mute my microphone. If you ask me questions, I'll answer.
Okay, yeah, because I can hear Jane. She's not having it. So, guys, again, we do have our Patreon. This is what you're supporting. This infant right here. So check that out.
This beautiful baby.
This is what a world we are in. We do.
And she has the stinkiest diaper in the world right now. But let's keep talking football.
Keep that to you. I'm taking QB Adam Sandler from the longest yard for my fantasy waiver wire radar value.
Now that's the deep cuts that you need if you want to win.
That's bold.
Fantasy.
He literally shaved points. So
right. Exactly.
That's why he's in prison. So I mean, you can't trust that.
Also, how has the second pick not been made here?
It auto-drafted and then it auto-drafted again, and it's going to piss me off because it's going to be Swift, which is some...
It wasn't.
Good job. I mean, I'm sure I'm about to get snaked here, and that's fine,
But I mean, this is worth talking about. Dak, I think this is probably where a lot of people would look at Dak. Some people might even look at Dak at the end of the first, depending on what the situation is looking like. What are your thoughts on Dak, Justin?
I like Dak Prescott, but with that defense kind of turning itself around... Okay, well, that's a... bitch. With Dak turning it around, or that defense turning it around, the volume hasn't been there for Dak. He's still very, very good. But for fantasy,
right.
I think it takes him out of that elite tier. And again, that's going to maybe change year to year, so that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Yep. But what are you going to do? In this pick, I think this pick's probably going to piss you off more than anybody, Marco, although I don't think he was going to get back to you. I want my young running back. I want to lock one in. I'm going to take Javonte Williams. A lot of people are already mad that he's ranked this highly. I don't care because, I mean, I've seen the talent. I've seen what he can do just when he does get work. And even if Melvin Gordon comes back, I think Javonte Williams ends up being pretty damn good next year.
What was he, RB14 on the season with Melvin Gordon, like having a very, very significant role?
Was he really? Is that where he ended up finishing? I can double check. I didn't think it was that high.
He was something near there.
I mean, if he finishes RB14, I'll be furious. But I'm saying RB14 in 2022, then it's a problem. But it's not saying what he finished at. Why is it not telling me here? Is anybody in the chat? If you're in the chat, tell us where the hell Javonte Williams finished on the season.
RB17 in PPR.
Okay. And again, splitting work, which is expected. I don't know if
work significantly. So that's why people have him so high, is because even if Gordon comes back, he's probably going to get a little bit more of that workload. And even with a little bit more, he could be a fringe RB1 easy. And he's 21. He just turned 21 recently.
Right. Well, and on top of it, I don't anticipate Melvin Gordon coming back, especially with Vic Fangio out. So he doesn't have that old school kind of head coach sitting there. Also, we did get a comment in there, and I'm gonna pause the draft and then drop this counter down to 1 minute to speed this up because this is obscene.
Terrible decision making by our draft commissioner.
Yep, no, big time jack. Really jacked that one up. But this is what you get. We're gonna update it on the fly. We're getting better. This could not be going slower.
I'm literally feeding a child.
This is why we don't do these during the day. I think that's what I'm saying. Like, this is why we don't do this during the day. We just have a whole bunch of crap going on. I literally blocked off private appointment at work for this.
I'm not back at work yet, so I'm living for it.
We got Shane. What is going on, Shane?
What's going up, Shane? Or going on, Shane? What's going on, Caesar?
Caesar says thank you. You're welcome, Caesar. Anything for you, pal. That is our back-to-back Listener League champion, which is...
Here's the thing. Caesar's one of our, like, old school 14P fans. Like, he's one of our guys from, like, when we first started. And he's abroad, which is even cooler.
It's 2 years only, Marco. But, all right, here's one. Jalen Hurts. Old school. You're like super. It's 2 years.
Hey, man.
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts here at 2-4.
Oh man, I hate it. If I'm gonna be honest, I get it, but I hate it. I know that's like not actually analytically helpful, but like here's the thing. I think they're gonna stick with Jalen Hurts this year. So I think he has probably 2 years of them saying, hey, he's our guy. And I think in that second year, you start to see some more questions, depending what they do in the draft this year. Like he's one of the guys who, if fantasy football didn't exist, most people wouldn't say positive things about Jalen Hurts as a football player.
Yes. Everything you said is correct. I think he is not a good quarterback.
Right.
Jane agrees. Jane's agreeing with me, but he's just not a good, like an overall quarterback. They won games on the back of a phenomenal run game. And yeah, Jalen Hurts absolutely gets credit for that. But as a passer, he's just so wildly inconsistent. And yeah, he can get better. But if he's not better next season, it's going to be really interesting what they do.
Especially if they do like take their first round picks this year and really put weapons and things that will really help that offense. And he doesn't improve much, which I really don't think he will. I don't know what they're going to do. So I think if you're looking at the team that took Jalen Hurts, let's see, what's his team? He's got Jamar Chase and Jalen Hurts. Like that's going to be a team that still, so far at least, does really well.
Hyper competitive. Yeah, hyper competitive. But here, even real quick, go back to Chase Baby Dragon. Last year, in my first startup, I got Chase in the 5th. That's obscene.
That's awesome.
He was a third round pick last year, so falling there is crazy. Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts is just one of those guys. Like he's a great fantasy quarterback, but who the hell knows if he's sticking around forever? I mean, and okay, I'm if Lamar can get better, can improve, so can Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson won MVP his very first year as a full-time starter. So it's not the same thing. It's honestly, besides the fact that it's just really not the same thing, Jalen Hurts is not Lamar Jackson. Like he's a good runner, but he's not even as a rusher. He's not even close to Lamar Jackson. Like, yeah, his counting stats might be nice, but what they do as runners is different. He's comparable, but the style of runner completely different. Right. Jalen Hurts is going to run you over.
Right, and I think Lamar Jackson's a much smarter runner than Jalen Hurts is.
That's fair. But looking here, though, you get A.J. Brown as the wide receiver 3, CeeDee Lamb as the wide receiver 4, both of them going over Tyreek Hill and Davante Adams. I get going over Davante Adams. I prefer Tyreek Hill over both of them in Dynasty still.
I 100% agree. Obviously, he had some drops and stuff to end the season or to wrap up the season, but it's still one of those things that like you have to look at the situation.
And that's what that noise
I dropped the bottle. You have to look at the situation, though. And he's still in a very, very good situation. He's still a very good player, even with drops. Like, if we're not going to worry about drops for Deontay Johnson, we're not going to worry about them for Tyreek Hill.
It's your draft pick, by the way.
No, I know.
Okay. I don't know if you know. Yeah. No, drops are the dumbest thing. You do not factor in drops in fantasy analysis.
No.
Your pick just went up. You got Alvin Kamara.
Oh, shoot. Can you I'm going to stop it really quick. I was just about to make my pick.
I'll give you benefit of the doubt because you're feeding a baby. But, yeah, dude, Davante Adams, the only reason I'm good putting him at wide receiver 5, 6 in that range is I don't know who the hell his quarterback's going to be. Like, there's all the rumblings. Rodgers could come back.
I think Rodgers comes back.
I can't.
As Bears fans, we hope not, but I think he does come back. But it's still something you have to think about when you're drafting Adams in a startup. Yeah,
he'll still be a top 10 wide receiver, but is he a guaranteed top 2 or 3 option? No.
Right. I mean, no, he can't be.
And he's a free agent, so it's not even like he's stuck with Jordan Love, which is probably a good thing. But so you went Cook and Gibson.
Yeah,
you're not a Dalvin Cook fan, so that's interesting.
I'm not really a Dalvin Cook fan, but I feel like since I don't usually pick at the 101, I have to realize that I can't just go with what I typically do and just go, hey, I'm going to go for my young studs and not try to compete a ton year one. So I'm going to compete this year. And I think Dalvin Cook, even at 26, and even with who knows what happens with Kirk Cousins, they're going to continue to use Dalvin. Dalvin's still going to be one of the best running backs in the NFL in fantasy football. He might not be 1, 2, or 3, but he's still going to be a very, very good player. And then I followed up with an Antonio Gibson guy who's a younger running back who I think right now is a huge dynasty buy. He's going to be healthier next year. He obviously doesn't have to worry about that shin. And even with the shin, he ended the season on a tear. So I really love my running back setup with this team right now, even if it's not something I would have predicted at the beginning of the draft.
Yeah. And then, I mean, we're looking here. We got a couple comments. JB Cho, Josh is saying he's surprised with the Dobbins pick. It feels early. I agree. I don't think I'm taking him off the board as, RB 6, 7 in that range. I completely am in agreement there. And another one to bring up, Saquon Barkley falling. I mean, we're looking at RB 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, RB 11 currently in Dynasty, in this startup at least.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, from last year to now, I would never have seen this coming.
Right. No, totally. And I'll tell you, I was considering Saquon because I think we're heading into this season with Saquon in 2022. This is the last season where he'll have an excuse of like, okay, he's just getting back, like they have all sorts of weird issues at with coaching, and quarterback got hurt. He was recovering from an injury. This is Barkley's prove it year. And if he can't do it this year, then I don't know what they're going to be able to do with him, keep staying healthy, So I'm worried about him. And so I think he carries a little more risk than normal. And then with the J.K. Dobbins thing, I was surprised Cook was there. I thought Cook would go there, and then I would get Dobbins and Gibson, which I also love.
Yeah. No, I mean, so it's – you see Cam Akers going at 3.5 here now. Hovis is just – he's like, you know what? They're either going to come back healthy or I'm just going to go leave the league. It feels like that kind of strategy.
Right. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't have Cam Akers this high, but I'm also not a huge believer in Cam Akers. I wasn't last year before.
Yeah, that's dumb. This is a dumb thing to say.
I mean, so far I'm right. So far, I mean, he hasn't played.
Yeah, I mean, this year he had like 3 carries, so I mean, you're looking good. The fact that he's back from an Achilles, it does help his dynasty stock an insane amount, because you're not sitting wondering, oh man, I wonder if he's even going to be able to get on the field.
Right.
Speaking of another guy that just came down with a pretty massive Achilles injury, James Robinson. I don't think he has the same kind of recovery as Cam. I
think James Robinson is obviously going to be on. He's going to find a new team soon. And
he's a free agent after this year, isn't he?
Yeah. So
after next season.
Is like he's going to find a new team. It depends where he lands. I think if James Robinson could end up as like a Buffalo Bill.
No, he's a free agent next year.
Pretty good value, or even a Miami Dolphin.
You're not listening to me. I don't think he's a free agent this offseason. I think it's next season, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I know. But I'm just saying, like, I think his, like, next year, he's going to have to obviously still be recovering for most of the year. And even when he comes back, I think it's going to officially be Travis Etienne's role. So I don't think next year is going to be a value for him. So I'm hoping the year after he can land where he can be like the early down back for like the Bills or the Dolphins or something like that, depending what they do in the draft.
Right. No, I completely agree. And if we're looking at, sorry, JB, Josh bringing up a good point with Simon's team. The receivers that Simon has acquired are unbelievable. I mean, you're looking at potentially 3 guys that can vie for, top 5 wide receivers next season.
Right. No, totally.
Are you a fan of going no RB, no QB through 3 rounds in a Superflex draft?
I am not oops. Sorry. She's sneezing over here. I am not a fan of going wide receiver the first 3 picks in any draft in any format ever.
No running back format.
No, like.
No, I'm saying
running back format. Maybe
receivers.
That's the version. But I mean, if you're in a Superflex draft and you don't get a quarterback or a running back in the first 3, and you pick the position that has the most available players, as nice as those pieces are, you're going to have to get really, really creative and have some things go your way the rest of the draft. Like his receivers are filthy, but I mean, he's got some major holes he's going to have to figure out.
The running back right now is kind of loaded still, but like Saquon Barkley is still there. I just took Jalen Waddle over Saquon Barkley just because I feel like with the way my team is built, it needs to be a little bit younger. But I mean, it's very difficult to go 0 RB in Dynasty just because like you can't play the waiver wire the same way. So it's going to be interesting just to see how he fills that out. I think in Superflex, I'm a little bit more inclined to maybe not take one in the first 3 rounds just because running backs slip with quarterbacks getting bumped up. So it's just going to be interesting to see how he fills it out. If he fills it out with good starters, then that team's terrifying.
Yeah, well, and here's the deal. Like, if he ends up with – he needs one very good quarterback, and if he can get that on the next 2 picks, then he might be okay. You know, it just depends what the draft – how the draft board falls the rest of the way.
Yeah, up to you, Simon. Good luck, idiot.
Also, suck it, Simon.
You got Welch here saying ETN over Akers.
I mean, I've always had ETN over Akers. Obviously, with the injury stuff, who knows? ETN's not playing right now. Obviously, he's not in the playoffs, so it doesn't matter. But Akers is.
Put this man on auto draft because I want to do that.
Yeah, do it.
I can't. It doesn't let me.
Sabotage.
SOB. All right. We got a question here. Thoughts on Lance over Stafford? Lance has the upside, but Stafford is proven. It just depends on the roster.
It does depend on the roster, but I think, hold on, I'm looking at the Lance team really quick. I think that's probably a little early for Lance, but you're also like, you're in a dynasty league. He's not going to go too much further. And I think Stafford showed us how he ended this year that like, even if he's a good fantasy player, even if he's a good NFL player, he's not here for the long term. And I think the 49ers are fair. It's fair to know, or fair to say right now, the 49ers aren't going to stick with Jimmy G.
Yeah, Jimmy G. Well, I mean, Stafford's going to be a Ram for the next 3 years, probably.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, his upside is not going up. You know, like, if anything, it's going down.
His upside is not going up. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. No, I do.
I mean,
agree.
His potential is definitely not getting better. It's getting worse year in and year out at this point.
And then there goes Mixon and Barkley on the auto draft. And now this spot's weird, man. There's running backs.
The auto draft team is so interesting to me.
It's good, but it's just going to be bad in a year.
Right.
Oh, God. Okay. I'm stuck between, tight end, there's quarterbacks, there's wide receivers here. There's so many pieces.
There's someone at every position available. That makes sense.
Okay. Well, you know what? Just because I am a Bears fan and I would like for this to happen, I'm taking Justin Fields. I don't love typically grabbing 2 quarterbacks early.
You son of a gun. I was going to take him.
I was between him and Trevor Lawrence. And honestly, I don't love – Trevor Lawrence is going to be very good, but until I know who that coach is, I'll push him down a little bit. I think Justin Fields can maybe succeed. I also have more faith in the Bears to hire somebody that's less of an idiot than the Jags. Not a good coach, but somebody that's less of an idiot, though.
Yeah.
Right. Like Bill O'Brien has not been kicked around for the Bears. He's been kicked around for the Jags, and that is just a terrifying thought.
Right.
And as we look here, so Diggs finally goes. What do you think about Waddle and Higgins going over Stephon Diggs?
Waddle and Higgins. Sorry, let me look at this here quick. So Waddle and Higgins, man, Higgins is one of those guys who's going to be, I think, undervalued a lot in redraft. In Dynasty, he might not be as much. That's why you're seeing him go like here. I would not take T. Higgins over Stephon Diggs. Jalen Waddle in full PPR, which I believe this is what the format we're drafting in. I actually don't hate it. I would probably still take Diggs over Waddle if you're a team that's like put together to win right now. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you are someone who's like, hey, I want to go Waddle over Diggs, I don't think that's too big of a stretch at this point because he is going to be the target monster for that team, even if they add someone, you know?
Yes. No, I completely agree. I mean, Jalen Waddle to me deserves to be a top 12 dynasty wide receiver. Him and Higgins both do. Like, it's the back from like wide receivers like 8 to 15. There's like 7 or 8 guys that you could throw in there, and one of them hasn't gone off the board yet that I still really like. I don't think he's gonna make it back to me. Let me look. Yeah, Deontay Johnson's not making it back to me, but Deontay Johnson is still wildly undervalued in dynasty. Like last season, I traded.
Man,
It's absurd. I mean, and I don't think I pounded the table harder for any wide receiver than Deontay last year. And the argument now is, well, his average depth of target won't stay the same because Big Ben's not there. And that's fine, honestly. He's a great route runner. It's not like he's only producing at the line of scrimmage. He was also like top 10 or top 12 in the league in deep targets. So,
and in standard leagues, even if you take out his receptions, he was wide receiver 12.
Oh, God, I just love Deontay Johnson, man.
Yeah.
That dude is so damn good. I genuinely debated taking him there, but I was like, no. Like, if I was like in a real league, is anybody in the world trading Justin Fields for Deontay Johnson? The answer is absolutely not. So That's where I'm like, I love Deontay, but still, Justin Fields, I feel like, is almost had to go there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Justin Fields was going to go in this round. We knew that.
Yep. And Simon picks up Zeke as one of his running backs. So that is the definition of a win now team.
Yep. That's fine.
And we're looking at Travis Etienne, Aaron Jones, and then the first or third tight end off the board, Kittle. Interesting that Kelsey is now sitting at tight end 4. I've seen this in a couple of mock drafts, and it's wild.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. He's finished as the tight end. He's actually only finished as the tight end 1 or 2 in the last 6 years. So,
and he's finished tight end 2 once.
Yeah, and it was this year. And it was like, yeah, it's just like, oh, there goes Deontay Johnson. I was going to take him.
I know. I figured I talked about him enough. You were going to snipe him, but.
Well, that is a real kick in the dick. All right, whatever. Then I'm not going to let this guy go any further. I'm going to take Travis Kelsey, and then I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, yeah, like Trevor Lawrence, his dynasty value has fallen so far, and I don't think it should
have. That's a mess that the Jaguars put together with Urban Meyer. It's an absolute mess. He's going to be a good player. I'm not worried about Trevor Lawrence. I'm obviously not worried about Travis Kelsey. And there are still so many wide receivers that I like. Like, even if there's a huge wide receiver run, I'm going to get at least 2 or 3 wide receivers I really like, no matter what.
And we got Baby Dragon asking, how would you rate his team after 5 picks? So Taylor, Lance, Samuel, Deontay, and Chris Godwin.
I think you got to get a quarterback that you know is going to start.
Right. I think if you're looking at this team in 3-4 months, it looks a lot better because Jimmy G is going to be gone.
And the only unfortunate reality too is that Chris Godwin probably won't play for a large part of the beginning of your season for next year. But dynasty wise, I like what it looks like.
Absolutely. And then we got Kyle here saying good value on Lawrence in Superflex. And then even Fields in the early 4th. Those are 2 guys. If you start doing startups or Superflex leagues in, July, like a normal person, I think they'll be second rounders.
Yep.
With a new coach, all the offseason hype, it's going to get to them. Like, they're just going to continue to rise. This is, I think, a product of what just happened is still fresh in our minds.
Recency bias will
people are ready to write. People are ready to write both of them off. I mean, people just overreact. I got people say, man, Justin Fields can never pan out now.
Right.
So okay. Dumb. I mean, is he a guarantee? Of course not. But to say it's for sure guaranteed, shut up.
Yeah.
All right, you're looking, Marco. Josh Jacobs at 5'3".
That is a pick I would not make in the 5th round. I think, like, when you look at the running backs still available, they're not like overly exciting, but I mean, I would take.
I don't like Josh Jacobs.
I would take a lot of the running backs left probably over Josh Jacobs. I would take Elijah Mitchell over Josh Jacobs. I would take probably CEH over Josh Jacobs. Depending on, what I'm trying to do. Fournette is definitely in that conversation. Sanders and him are close, but I'm probably leading Sanders. Michael Carter and AJ Dillon are also close for me.
Yeah, I just Josh Jacobs is really, really good at being really, really average.
Yeah.
And like that's fine, but they're not gonna pick up his 5th-year option. I'd be shocked if they did. And that just puts him in RB purgatory. And I don't think he's gonna go the way of James Conner.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, very talented running back, but he's gonna be on a new team and he's not guaranteed this workhorse role. And I think that's gonna tank his value after this year.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And then I like DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin back-to-back. That's perfect value for them. I don't think those are guys that you stole at a value or that you got to or that you reached on. I think that's exactly where those guys should go, is right around the 5th round, mid-5th round, maybe early 5th round, back-to-back.
Yeah, and we got Kyle saying, I think the Jacobs pick is fine. I'd probably go take him over the running backs we mentioned. And then on top of it, he said, well, actually, I may have gone wide receiver. Yeah,
I for sure would have gone wide receiver over him.
Yeah. I'm not saying I would have taken any of those specific running backs in that specific spot, but I prefer them over Jacobs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then, Style Ninja, Jacobs undervalued and underappreciated.
And
that very well could.
All the unders.
He's under everything. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He's really tough to read, to be perfectly honest.
He is.
He's a high floor guy, and if that's what you want, that's fine. But that's not the kind of guy I typically am like, damn, get him on my roster.
Right. Okay, everyone say goodbye to Jane. I'm gonna go put her down for a second. I'll be back in a sec.
Bye, Jane. Did you say it back?
Yeah, she said bye.
All right, here. And we got Pittman, Marco, and then Devonta Smith, who I was really hoping fell to me. And then followed up by Darren Waller. Damn. Where the hell do I go with this? All right.
I'm going to Devonta Smith over Pittman.
They're both gone, though, and that's my problem.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, while you're thinking about that, when I look at Devonta Smith and Pittman, I actually think those are decent values. I'm not overly concerned with Pittman and the quarterback situation and whatever they're going to do there. So I think Pittman's going to go right around this area, but I would value Smith over Pittman still, even with the question marks with what they're going to do with Hurts and who they're going to add. And I love the Elijah Mitchell pick, Justin.
And I went running back here. I am all in on Elijah Mitchell. We both have been since he was drafted to the 49ers. We're both off of Sermon pretty much all offseason. It worked out much better than I think we expected. But I just can't get on. I cannot get on board with the idea that they're just going to go away from Elijah Mitchell. And he gets banged up. All running backs do, so I'm not going to fade him there. When he came back, he immediately took back over. Like, he is locked in as that team's number one running back. And just as long as he doesn't get the weird sophomore curse where Kyle Shanahan decides you can't play football anymore, it should work out. Like, as long as he doesn't get that stupid, very odd treatment that he just loves to give people.
Yeah, and I think Elijah Mitchell is going to be the guy. I mean, he's easily the best runner on that team. Easily.
The last 5 games they have played, that he has played, he has 21 or more carries in his 5 games he's played. The last 5. Again, he's missed games in that stretch, but still, it's just, it's tough. And Style Ninja, Debo's the running back to own. Baby Dragon saying the same thing. Caesar saying it too. God, son of a bitch, man. I do love that Debo's a running back.
Debo's he's just different.
Real quick before we get to the last comment, Debo should have. I love the idea of him having DST.
Should. I agree.
And then K-Top clips Watson at 5'11". If Watson plays, that's the steal of the draft.
Yeah, I don't think he does though.
Right, that's the question.
So it's either, I mean, if you think he's going to play, it's a great value, but if you think he's not, it's like, well, you threw away the pick.
Yeah, it's
and I fall on the latter because I truly don't think he plays maybe again, but if he does, it's not going to be this year.
Yep. All right. I'm taking my first player that's going to be considered older. I'm taking Ridley
Elijah
here.
Moore.
No, I thought about it. I thought about Elijah Moore, and he got snaked for me. So I am taking Calvin Ridley with the reports of him wanting out of Atlanta and all this and that. That leads me to believe he's coming back, right? Like those are the indicators that
I was
he's going to
hoping
be
he
back.
would fall to me.
Yeah, he's going to be back and playing in the NFL again. And if he does, as soon as he signs somewhere or gets traded, Chicago, please God, Chicago, but
that'd be awesome.
He'll immediately be back into my top 12 wide receivers. Like, I mean, maybe not in Dynasty, but as far as 2022 redraft goes, Calvin Ridley is still insanely talented.
Oh yeah, I completely agree.
And we're looking here, and what does Kyle got for us? I don't like the Pitts pick at the end of the first, but that team has 3 great picks and then a wild card in the 5th. Oh, that's the team with Watson. Yeah, Swift, Higgins, Wilson. The team's all upside.
Wow.
There's a lot of things that Corey loves.
Jameis.
So that's my buddy Corey. I mean, you know that, but Corey loves Jameis. I know that much. And he's hard anti-Packer, so he's never taken Rodgers there. But would you take Jameis over Tua? Would you take Mac Jones over Tua?
No, I honestly, I know a lot of people are out on Tua. I would take Tua over Winston, Jameis, and Mac. I'm really not like even thinking about it. Like Mac obviously showed he's a talented player. He's not going to be a scrub in the NFL, but he also showed that he's still got a long way to go. Obviously he's a rookie, but I like Tua more than I like Mac Jones. I mean, I know that's not popular, but that's definitely where I land on the two.
I like them for fantasy, and I think, it's so early. It's too early to be like, yeah, Mac Jones is what he is, because it's year one, and he was pro ready coming in, but it's going to be really, really interesting just to watch him develop. I want to see what he looks like in year 2, and hopefully they get him somebody that isn't a tight end. Like Jacoby Myers is good, don't get me wrong, but they don't have like a true alpha lead wide receiver.
Right.
Not even like a quarter of one. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. And Kyle saying the same thing. Jameis ahead of Rodgers. Kyle, I can tell you that pick is only because he refuses to draft Packers. It's the only that's not even a joke. I know for a fact Corey will never take a Packer.
Very obviously a terrible decision.
Thing is, I think Corey knows that, but I respect sticking to his guns. I'm waiting for a text from Corey just being like, shut the hell up. Just stop.
Jerry Jeudy and Amari.
Love both of those, but quickly, Dolphins fired Brian Flores.
Horrible.
What a bunch of idiots.
I think Brian Flores is probably my second favorite coach in the NFL behind Mike Tomlin. They've had a couple reports now that basically he wasn't in on Tua. And so the GM basically bet his whole career on Tua. So he had to pick one and he picked his career. So that's not a surprising move. I mean, it's surprising on the surface, but if you really look at what happened there, it makes sense.
Yeah, kind of. That's one way to put it. It's
a bad decision, but it makes sense. I mean, I understand why the GM made it, or the GM made it.
Yeah, exactly. So thoughts on, Evans, Cooper, Jeudy. It just depends on the team build, right? Jeudy makes sense with Hovis's team here. Just like Evans makes a lot of sense with Caesar, and Cooper fits in with Josh. I think those 3 guys going here is the correct value, and it makes sense on the roster you have. You don't want a young roster with Mike Evans, because if you draft Mike Evans, you cannot trade him for what he's worth. So you are drafting Mike Evans to keep Mike Evans. Same with Amari Cooper. You're never getting back the value you actually should on those guys.
Yep.
Ooh.
All right.
I like that.
I'm going with my guy, AJ Dillon, and then I'm torn between a couple guys here, but I think I'm going to, oh man.
Take Hollywood. I know you want to.
No, I'm actually I'm not even considering him right now.
Interesting.
I'm going to go for a guy that's okay, it's a homer pick, but I think we just saw a little breakout, and he's going to have a phenomenal season next year. It's going to be a true breakout. I'm going
Mooney.
with my guy for next season. He's going to be my guy. I already know it. Darnell Mooney.
It's January.
I already
You can't be picking.
I think that Darnell Mooney will be a top 16 wide receiver next year.
Corey's firing back.
Oh my God, Corey. Where's the boot button on Corey?
He's sick of it. I love it. I love Darnell Mooney, man. I don't know. It just depends what the Bears do in free agency and the draft. If they can bring in another wide
Here's the thing.
receiver.
I get it. But I think this year he showed us he's here to stay. He was a PPR wide receiver 23. And that was with 3 different quarterbacks and a disaster at coach and offensive coordinator. I think that, like I said, I think Darnell Mooney is going to be a top 16 wide receiver. So I kind of like him for the upside, and he's really young.
Again, yeah, I was a huge Mooney guy coming into the season. I don't know if it gets a lot better, and I don't know if it needs to. Like, either way, I'm very happy with Darnell Mooney at this point. But
and then I love A.J. Dillon. Love A.J. Dillon as my running back 3.
Does A.J. Dillon have RB1 upside when Aaron Jones moves on from Green Bay? It's really difficult to say for the sole reason of we don't know who the quarterback will be when Aaron Jones is no longer there. And if you think about it, A.J. Dillon's going into year 3. So he's not – it feels like he is this young, up-and-coming running back still. And, I mean, he's in this 3rd season now, so he's getting up there a little bit as far as running back age goes. But I do think, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, Aaron Jones isn't there, A.J. Dillon's probably a top 12 running back. Yeah, from like a redraft perspective.
Yeah. I think I took A.J. Dillon as my 3rd running back here, and I am fully content with him being – if he can get in the top 20 RBs, I'm happy. And I think he's going to do that next season, almost for sure. Because it looks like he's getting a lot of the really valuable touches, even if they aren't the receptions. He's shown that he can actually do that well. I mean, he's not Aaron Jones maybe, but he's done it very well.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, it's so much of it is relying on Rodgers being there because that offense, it opens up the run game. It gives them red zone opportunities. So take this all with a grain of salt because it all hinges on Aaron Rodgers being there. It just depends on who, like if Jordan Love's the guy, I mean, he's probably much closer to a back end RB1 than he is or back end RB2 because Jordan Love probably isn't very good from all the reports. So it's really difficult to say. And we got another comment. AJ will be the he'll be the RB1 on the team. We're just talking like fantasy.
For the team for sure.
100%. He's locked in. At that point, I loved A.J. Dillon out of college. And I was so pissed he went to the Packers. Well, and I just wanted him to get his own role.
I think the Packers have an out on Aaron Jones after 2022, and so we could see an A.J. Dillon, Kylan Hill duo. And I think A.J. Dillon is obviously going to carry the bulk of that work. But Kylan Hill could be like a Jamal Williams to A.J. Dillon. When that happens.
Yeah, and quick plug here, guys. If you are watching, go check out our Patreon page. Patreon, just look up 14 Personnel. You'll get rookie rankings, rookie tiered rankings, dynasty rankings coming out this week, Marco. This week. Baby. Send them to me. Dynasty rankings will also be tiered. You get early access to rookie videos. We'll break down dynasty teams for you, that kind of stuff. So check out the Patreon page. And if you're on the YouTube page, just subscribe. Make it easy for us. We'll track you down otherwise. All that good stuff. Oh, shit, it's my pick. I have not paid attention to the board.
I'll talk about some of the guys. So obviously Hollywood Brown was next. So with Hollywood, I really liked him. I still do like him. I just don't think he's going to be the one next year. And I think obviously they had inconsistency with quarterback health. I think he's going to be solidly a top 20 wide receiver next year, but I don't think he's going to be the guy who plays that X role for them. And I think Rashad Bateman's going to continue to improve and he's going to kind of take over that. So I like Hollywood Brown as a top 20 guy. And obviously the team that drafted him doesn't need him to be more than that, but he's going to be an interesting guy. Keep an eye on depending on what Bateman does. Then we got Tom Brady and Tua, 2 guys I was thinking about as well. Damian Harris is an interesting pick. What are your thoughts with Damian Harris's future here, Justin?
So I think the Patriots are going to do what the Patriots typically do is they don't re-sign a lot of the non-pass catcher running backs. So I think Harris ends up hitting free agency after this year. And then Stevenson's the guy. And in the 2023 draft, they draft another running back in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
And they just continue They just continue this cycle. And I mean, that's fine. Damien Harris is very good. I would love for him to just get a backfield of his own.
Yeah.
But he's probably going to end up in his committee doing all that kind of crap for the rest of his career after this season. I think that's where it's headed.
Yep.
If you want to trade him, I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea, but you're going to be tough to find the proper value for him.
Yeah. No, yeah, I like that. All right. Then you went Chase Claypool, followed by Brandon Ayuk, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let's talk about those three for a second, Justin. What are your thoughts on Claypool?
I gotta make a pick, and then we can talk.
Okay, well, while Justin's picking, I'll talk about Brandon Ayuk and Amon-Ra. So I was hoping Amon-Ra would actually come back around. You know, I mean, this is like, if you're on Twitter at all, you know, people are like, don't sell him now. Don't sell him now. I agree. You shouldn't sell him now. I don't think you should expect what you saw at the end of the year, but you don't need him to do that to be very fantasy relevant. So he's a guy who I was all about all offseason last year. He was my sleeper wide receiver. And the end of the season, he showed, like, if he's getting the looks, he's going to turn that into production. I think he's a very good player. He's going to continue to be very good, even if he's not seeing 10 to 14 targets a game once DeAndre Swift comes back and if they draft a wide receiver. Brandon Ayuk, I think we might see another mini breakout next season. It just depends what they do, how fast they get to Trey Lance, and what that chemistry looks like with that offense. But I like Brandon Ayuk a lot. And then, Justin, you can talk about Chase Claypool, and your pick there was Zach Wilson.
Yeah, so Claypool is a guy that people are down on right now just because of the season, and it wasn't what we expected. I'm still really damn excited about him going into 2022, though, because there's going to be a change at quarterback. I don't think there was a guy worse suited for Claypool's skill set than Big Ben. So whoever they bring in, maybe it's Rodgers, maybe it's Cousins, Derek Carr. There's a lot of these other guys that Jimmy G even I'd be fine with. There are a lot of these other guys they could bring in, or maybe it's Kenny Pickett or a rookie quarterback. The quarterback play should get better, or at least the opportunity for the wide receivers should get better, which is why I'm still high on Deontay, and I'm still very high on Claypool. I mean, just from like the physical tools he possesses are really, really difficult to find.
Yeah, I just wish he wasn't such an immature player. Obviously, he's a wide receiver.
Oh, he's an idiot.
That's kind of the positional deal, but he just emanates stupid sometimes.
I mean, as soon as like celebrations start getting me negative points, I will start fading Chase Claypool. But until that happens,
right? But to me, obviously Big Ben's, like you said, his skill set didn't match up that well.
Terribly.
But to me, I wonder if some of his immaturity was the reason why all of a sudden Ray McLeod was getting looks. He's obviously way worse than Chase Claypool.
No, Ray McLeod is a short target kind of guy, though. Like that is built in for Ray McLeod's skill set. So at least that's how I'm treating it.
I get that.
And then my next pick here, I took Zach Wilson, just with my team being as young as it is. I just wanted to grab another young QB that I liked. And honestly, Zach Wilson, towards the end of the season, looked so much better than I could have ever expected. I was very promising. So I'm very excited to see what Zach Wilson ends up turning into. He's a guy I think I'm happy to go and get in Superflex leagues, because I think he could have, a decent size second step or a second year, jump or leap, whatever you want to call it. You're on mute, Marco, by the way. You're on mute. I cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry. No, yeah, but I completely agree. He's not the inconsistent guy we saw. I don't know if he's going to be some pinnacle of awesomeness at quarterback, but I think he will be a very serviceable fantasy player.
Right. As a QB3, I am very happy to have Zach Wilson. So we got a comment here. Currently drafting in a 16-team Superflex tight end premium league. We're in the late 21st. I don't play in many leagues with less than 14 teams. Appreciate the 14P deep league analysis.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
Well, yeah, man, we're happy. We're happy we can help you out.
Rock and roll, man. No, so looking at some of the other guys here, you get Leonard Fournette. You finally get Michael Thomas off the board. Tony Pollard. Any of these jump off the page to you?
Tony Pollard. I love Tony Pollard. I think he's going to be one of those guys who doesn't win you a league probably unless Zeke gets hurt, but he's going to be one of those guys who just gives you consistent week in and week out points, which is what you need from the running back position, especially when you're drafting at this point in the draft.
Right. Like as an RB3, I think that is rock solid. I mean, and again, he has Zeke as well. So that pick makes even more sense there, because you can play them both the same week.
Right.
Like it's not a guarantee, one goes off and the other doesn't. And then we're looking here, Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow is not exciting at all. But if you can find one person in your league that is like all in on Hunter Renfrow, I'll gladly sell him. I don't think we see this type of season again from him.
No.
A lot of it relied on Darren Waller, Henry Ruggs quite literally getting arrested. Like, I mean, there was just so many things that had to go right for him for this to work.
Right.
It was just very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to make a pick here while you talk about these next guys.
We got a comment. Why isn't James Conner valued higher? That is because we don't even know where he's going to be playing come 2022. He's going to be a free agent. My assumption is he is back in Arizona. But even then, I mean, so much of his value was tied to Chase Edmonds going out. I mean, James Conner is a great back-end RB2, super high flex play when they're both active. So unless he's the only running back in town, he shouldn't be valued, as a top 15, top 20 running back, especially in Dynasty with age, injury concern, and so many other things going on. I think there's a lot of just better up-and-coming guys that have a clearer path to those, giant workloads.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
And we got another question.
Okay.
Edmonds, you taking care of her? Do you need to mute Marco?
No, she's all right. She's talking. She's good. She's happy.
6 week is talking. That's good.
Yeah, so
Edmonds, real quick, Edmonds out of Arizona if Connor goes back. I don't think so. I think they'd bring them both back, to be perfectly honest. I don't think either warrant massive contracts, so my guess is they both come back and we see exactly what we saw last season. That or they go and address it in free agency or in the draft.
Yeah, totally. No, I agree. All right, so on my pick here, I got Rashad Bateman, who I thought about with my last pick.
He really slipped.
I thought there was no way I would get him. So I'm pumped. I got Rashad Bateman, Darnell Mooney. And then I took Juju Smith-Schuster as my wide receiver 3. So he's technically like my first guy off the bench, I think. But he's 25, 26. He's probably going to end up with a new team. And he's going to be able to fill that slot role again on whatever team he's on, most likely. Sure, we don't know what team that is. But if he gets to play the slot role, Juju is a PPR guy who I'm all in as my third wide receiver.
Juju, yeah, your receivers are interesting. I didn't notice this until right now. The disrespect on Juju is insane. Like, I'm not a big Juju fan.
It's crazy.
I'm not a big Juju fan, but I've traded for him in 2 Dynasty leagues. So not several, a couple. Dynasty leagues since the offseason started. I got him for like a late second-round pick. People are just done with Juju. I mean, I get it, but
obviously,
that's high value.
Obviously, Hunter Renfro's been good this season. In no world would I ever take Hunter Renfrow over Juju Smith-Schuster. I really wouldn't.
They're also very similar in age. Like,
well, right. But I like Juju's talent when he's healthy way more. I do.
I mean, I think Juju actually might be. I'm looking it up. Yeah, Juju is younger than Hunter Renfrow. Like, it feels like Juju's been in the league forever, and he's this older, fantasy asset, but he's not. And we've seen elite seasons from Juju. Even in a down year in 2020, he was still like a top 16 wide receiver. So if you get him in
Hunter Renfrow was in college
system,
forever, but Juju has been in the NFL forever. I think that's how it works out, right?
Yes. Hunter Renfrow played 7 seasons at Clemson, I'm pretty sure. And then there goes Chase Edmonds, a couple picks after James Conner. Yeah, if I'm picking between Conner and Edmonds, I want James Conner. Just because Josh said it well here. Edmonds is not a lead back. He's a complimentary back, and that's fine.
Yep.
Do that going into the season. That has not changed. So I want a guy that has the potential to finish as a top 12 running back if everything breaks right, which is what James Conner has, especially this late in the draft. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
Yep. And there goes Pat Freiermuth. I was considering him, but I had Kelsey, so I didn't do it.
Oh, my late round tight end is still sitting here that I love to grab, and I'm not gonna say who it is.
I already know who it is.
I feel like I think you do too. I'm not gonna say it.
Samus Reyes, right?
Okay, why is he picking up steam everywhere?
Because he's huge.
I literally had to look him up. I saw like 20 tweets on Samus Reyes. I was like, who in the hell
He's like the newest huge guy who used to play like rugby that everyone's like, maybe.
No, okay. I got my guy here. And like this here, I'm taking him already. Dalton Schultz should not be available this late in dynasty drafts. He is tied to Dak Prescott. There is not a guarantee that Amari Cooper doesn't get cut this offseason. There's the rumblings of that. And he was an established part of this offense all season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he finished as, if this would load on my phone, it's not giving me any damn finishes, whatever. He had double-digit points basically from week 11 on. I mean, he had one game with like 1 point. But other than that, double-digit points, he is a top 10. He might even be a top like 7 or 8 dynasty tight end. The fact that he's available this late is crazy to me. Like Fryer,
yeah, I think part of it is that he's got the weirdest name. He's got like a lame name, so people aren't excited about him, but he's great.
Honestly, yeah. Every guy that went ahead of him has a cooler name. Like that's just like Dawson Knox. Better.
It's insane, but that's legitimately a reason this guy fell.
It's so stupid. But no, he's really damn good. He needs to be valued a whole lot higher.
Yeah. You might as well call him John Smith.
Okay. Sure. Kadarius Toney goes next, and then you finally get Derek Carr off the board. Derek Carr is,
I think that's a great value.
Yeah. Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, he's on the board. Yeah. Kirk Cousins. Oh, he went finally. Okay. Derek Carr, though, is basically the same tier as Kirk Cousins and those guys, and he's going 2-3 rounds later. That's a great pick.
Yep. Yeah, I love the Carr pick. I think he's a guy who I love as like a really late quarterback to scoop up because he's also perpetually disrespected. And sure, he might not be like a world beater, but for fantasy, he's more than like beyond serviceable as your quarterback.
Yeah, 100, especially when
in Superflex. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically every single season he has been a top 20 quarterback every single season he has played in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been top 15 back-to-back years. Like he's just is always underrated. He is a guy, like if you're trying to get real crafty with a veteran team, you go and trade for him and you just plug him in at QB2 and you just forget about it.
Yep.
All right, I finally picked up a third running back. I am taking guys I just hope, things break right for him. And looking at the guys left or the guys that are available, Alexander Madison fits that role. Obviously, If Cook goes down, Madison's a top 15 running back. I think that's guaranteed.
Yep, I like it. I like the value there.
And we got another we got a question from Jason. Is Dawson Knox a reliable tight end one the next few years? Worried about his target share. The thing is,
it's interesting.
His target share,
he's an interesting one for sure.
His target share doesn't matter to me though, because he gets his value from touchdowns. Like we know that going into the season. So he is going to be a super volatile asset. But when you look at the tight end landscape, he is a tight end one because of the touchdown upside and the offense. He's not going to get a ton of volume, but that's fine.
I think the weird thing that you need to think about too is like, are the Bills, if the Bills draft and put a decent draft capital or go get a running back that actually can do things in the red zone, if so, that also hurts Dawson Knox a little bit. It's not like tremendous, but it matters because Dawson Knox is pretty much the only guy in the red zone that's not named Josh Allen that is a consistent threat in that space. And it's because they don't have a running back. And so if they don't have a running back, I guess that can do that consistently. And so if they do add someone, like say they add like an Isaiah Spiller, a Kenneth Walker, a Breece Hall, that could significantly hurt any red zone option for the Bills because they're going to run the ball more because they hardly ever do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We got another question. Why does Knox get overdrafted in every dynasty draft? I prefer him over Font, however you want to say it, but I definitely want Schultz over Knox. Like that's where I fall with these guys at least. I mean,
I have Knox over both, but they're all fairly close.
It just depends, I think, on the style of these are three completely different players.
Yes.
Like Noah Fant is a guy that can break long touchdowns and have these giant plays. Dalton Schultz is your high floor with touchdown upside guy. And then Dawson Knox is touchdown or bust. You just have to just figure out which of the three do you prefer? What style of tight end are you happy with?
They all have, Schultz has the highest floor for sure, but Fant and Knox they both have a lot of risk. It's just different risk, like it's just drastically different.
Schultz is basically Heath Miller. So was Pat Fryermuth. But like in terms of what they bring to fantasy, I don't think he's ever going to be a top 3 tight end. Like a Gary, he's going to have this monster blow up season, but he's always going to be insanely reliable.
Yeah, that's fair. I can totally see that. Oh man, my last two picks here. Man, Mike Gesicki's still there. I still like Mike Gesicki with Tua, but
he's a free agent. I don't think if he lands with the Chargers, Gesicki is gonna be.
Oh my goodness, if he landed with the Chargers,
Dude.
that's insane.
Gesicki's gonna be a top 5 tight end potentially if he lands with the Chargers. Him and Herbert would wreak havoc on the NFL.
No, totally. All right, but it is Dynasty, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass on Gesicki for a tight end that I love, and I don't need him to be good this year.
Is it Alberto? I'm gonna punch you. Oh, Cole Kmet. This is
maybe.
Alberto.
Is it Alberto? I do like Alberto. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get Gabe Davis. I think they've realized that the second wide receiver for those Bills has been so variable, but the guy who's actually been pretty sure-handed and can be a weapon all over the field is Gabe Davis. So I kind of like him as like a 4th or 5th wide receiver. And so I think just to wrap up this draft, I added 2 guys who I think who their upside is really, really, really high heading into a 2022 where they could fall into a lot more work.
Yeah, I like Gabe Davis a lot. Like if you guys have watched, I mean, I presume a lot of the people watching have watched our other videos.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis is a guy we've talked about plenty. Cole Kmet is another guy we've talked about a ton. Like these are guys right now that aren't necessarily dynasty like flyers because people know about them, but I'm happy to buy them with the expectation of, they should increase their workload. I mean, like that's a huge piece of this. And we got Josh going back to Gesicki.
They're truly startling.
Yeah. Gesicki's player profile metrics. He is one of the best athletes to come out at the tight end position I have ever seen. Like he's not Kyle Pitts level.
He's a freak.
Insane. And like the breakout everybody was anticipating finally happened this year, like to some extent. And if he gets, I keep seeing the Chargers, and if he gets Justin Herbert, holy crap. I mean, he'll probably end up being overdrafted, which is going to
especially if they let Mike Williams walk and they get freaking Gesicki. I don't know how you defend that.
I mean, do you think Mike Williams is gone?
I do. I think he's gone.
Do you think they roll with Palmer and another guy in the 2nd or 3rd? Because Guyton's a free agent also. Yeah,
I think Palmer's very good. I think Palmer's better than Guyton. So I think they'll roll with Palmer. They'll maybe add a guy in free agency. They'll draft a guy or 2. And then they'll add a tight end that I think is going to be relevant, which could be, like you said, like a Mike Gesicki. But I don't know if it really benefits them to add another older wide receiver. I mean, Keenan Allen's older too. Like, why pay Mike Williams when he's had one good year for you,
Yeah. And one more plug, guys, before we kind of close out this draft. Obviously, a few picks left. Check out the Patreon page. For as little as $2, you can donate over there. You can also get our rookie rankings that are tiered. You get early access to our rookie profile videos. You get access to our Dynasty tiered rankings. We'll break down a Dynasty team for you. There's a sticker if you care about that. I probably don't, but it's there. There's some stuff over there, so check that out. You're muted, Marco. Good try, though. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you guys are watching. We'll be doing a bunch of these mock drafts and other live stuff throughout the offseason here.
Yeah.
Damn, Khalil Herbert. I was really hoping Khalil Herbert.
I thought about Khalil Herbert too.
That's a bummer. Okay, I got to figure out what I want to do.
I think Khalil Herbert is someone who could bring, flex value depending what Montgomery and this offense does next year. They're going to be a team that needs to kind of rely on their running game for a while because they really have Darnell Mooney and that's it at wide receiver. So when they do rely on the running game, Khalil Herbert could be sneaky. I like him.
No, I hear you. And I've closed it out with Christian Kirk. I think he finds a good role. He's been great. I'm a fan of his. And we got a couple comments here before we kind of close out this draft. Chargers should draft Jameson Williams. I would love that. I just don't know if they will coming off of the torn ACL.
Right.
It's maybe not ideal, but we'll see.
I could see them going after like a David Bell or a Jahan Dotson.
Oh, David Bell would be perfect there to fill that Mike Williams role.
Yeah.
And has Kupp earned the number 1 spot in redraft for wide receivers? Yes.
Yeah, probably.
I think easy. For me, like that's an easy one.
Yeah, I mean, when you score like 80 plus points over the wide receiver too, I think that probably does it, right?
Yep. So we got a question. Where is the Patreon link? I will drop that in our
Drop
Chat
it in the
here.
chat here.
Yeah, I gotta make sure I spell it right. What the hell? I think it's this one. This should be it. Hopefully this works, guys. If not, just go to patreon.com and look up 14 personnel. You can find it there. That's a good way to get all that stuff. But all right, we got one pick left here. Chenault. I just put Chenault on a video. If you guys are looking for him, Dynasty Flyers. Laviska Chenault. I am still gonna take a chance on him in Dynasty. Last season was
100%.
so horrifically bad. I just like to think he is going to find a spot where he succeeds, and I'm gonna take that chance on him.
Well, and I mean, Trevor Lawrence could be a completely different player, than what we've seen. So I think Chenault could be still someone who brings some nice value.
I completely agree. He's not dead. He's not dead, guys, and that's how he's being treated in Dynasty. And if that's the case, I typically go and try to trade for some of those players.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that underperformed, I'm not looking to grab. Terrace Marshall. I want no part.
Rondale Moore.
Never. I am not a Rondale Moore guy.
If someone is willing to sell you a lot for Kadarius Toney, go ahead and trade him too. By the way.
Yeah, we're just kind of talking now, just guys we don't like.
Yeah, I actually probably need to go take care of.
I have to go do my job. I have to go do my actual job.
Thanks for hanging out, guys. This has been awesome.
Yeah, everybody, thank you guys for watching. Keep an eye out. We'll schedule these probably, like a couple days in advance. So always check back on the page to find out when those new mock drafts are going on or whatever else we're doing live. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Peace.